I can't tell you how many times I've been found to be wrong. This may come as a surprise to you. I've been wrong before. More times than I really care to admit. No one really likes being wrong. It's not a good feeling. It's not a happy feeling. It's like, oh, I thought I was right. I did that because I thought I was in the right. But it turns out what I thought I was doing wasn't exactly the thing that I should have been doing. I'm wrong. So if I happen to have a belief, well, I believe the moon is made of cream cheese. What? Oh, it's not? Cream cheese is really only here on Earth? At the grocery store? What about the moon? Why is it white? Do you ever think about that? It looks creamy. Oh, yeah, I know. Just because it looks creamy, it doesn't mean it's cream. But, I mean, how do you know it's not cream cheese? Because astronauts brought back dust and rocks from the moon. And they weren't cream cheese? Are you sure about that? You're sure? Okay. Because I don't trust the internet. Because you go to the internet and look up information, and half of the people tell you you're right, and half the people will tell you you're wrong. But science, that you're saying that, okay, I can... All right, okay. I'm wrong. Thank you for illuminating me. Thank you for providing information and changing my perspective. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong, when I know I'm wrong. And it's not about being proven that you're wrong, because, again, the internet is more than ready to tell you when they believe you're wrong. It doesn't necessarily mean you're wrong. Sometimes it is a matter of perspective, but other times it's not about perspective. There's empirical evidence that could very well point out the flaws in your logic or how your emotions are getting the best of you, and you could very well be found to be wrong. If you're in any kind of a relationship, you're probably going to be told that you're wrong. How could you avoid being wrong? Well, don't make suppositions. Base your perspectives upon well-reasoned, well-researched, information, data that you can take in to better form a perspective, to better understand the world around you. That's one way to kind of safeguard you from being wrong. It doesn't mean you're not going to be wrong. Don't guess. That's kind of the bottom line. Don't guess. Like if I were to say, put this remote control away because I thought everyone was done using it, and then Diana came into the room and said, "Why'd you put the remote control away?" Like, well, because I thought everyone was done using it. Well, no, I needed to use it again, and I needed it to be there because of this, that, and the other thing. Oh, sorry, I was wrong. Did you see that? So I thought I was right by putting the remote control away. And this is just one, obviously, an egregious example because, A, this is a remote control she would never touch because it controls the lights behind me. But it's just one example. But when someone points out that something you believed is incorrect because of new information that they are providing you, information you did not have prior because you didn't have access to it, you weren't aware that information existed, you based a decision on largely incomplete information or to the best of your ability to do something or to say something. But when someone you trust and that you know, or enough individuals in your orbit start to question why you believe you're right when there's evidence to the contrary. Like, I'm not talking about conspiracy theories that say you're wrong. I'm not saying that the internet says you're wrong. I'm saying that if people you know, love, and trust, and information is illuminating you to walk down a path, a different path, that may very well cause you to reflect upon what you were thinking and how you were acting upon those thoughts. When that happens, you got to be ready to admit that you were wrong. It's hard. It's not fun. It's fun to be right. Like it's fun. I'm going to say it. It's fun to say I told you so. It's even more fun to say I don't want to say it, but I told you so. Because you got to say I don't want to say it, and then you say I told you so, which is basically, I'm not saying you should do that when somebody else is proven to be wrong, because that's kind of like poor sportsmanship, right? So when you find yourself in a position where you're reflecting upon your own thoughts and entering into that thought process, the possibility, remote as it is, that what you've said, what you've done, maybe a formed opinion that you had, a belief, may not be fully baked. And this new information that you've received, this new data, when you first receive it, is going to cause you to challenge your belief, your opinion, your perspective, your thoughts. Not fun. No one wants to face a truth. Truth is relative. With these new facts, facts are not relative. You are entitled to your own opinions. You are not entitled to your own facts. When faced with the likelihood that your position is incorrect, the worst thing you can do is double down on your decision, your position, right? You say, nope, not gonna hear it. La 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 la. You're wrong. No. That's not how it works. Like, if someone's giving you information, like, that's information they're providing you. And information might be that you moved the remote control when it was still being used for one other purpose that you weren't aware of. Okay, at that point, what are you going to do? Say, well, it should have been put away when you were done with it. And if they clearly explain, well, I wasn't done with it. You were out of the room. I really wasn't, and I left the room before you came back into the room and then put it away, so you're wrong. I'm not going to say that in so many words, but I'm right. I was the one who was using it, and these are the reasons why. At that point, do you keep doubling down? Or do you actually open up and say, all right, fine, wrong? It's not difficult. It's not fun. It's not easy, and it's not difficult at the same time. I swear I'm not being contradictory. It's not difficult, if I can finish this thought, if you're accustomed to admitting that you're wrong, because that's a sign of growth. It's a huge sign of growth. You've challenged your convictions, and you came through on the other side potentially better for it. You know, you've got to kind of trust your gut. You gotta feel your way through this. You know, your truths, especially when you're exposed to somebody else's truths that may bring you closer to reality, right? 3 sides to every story, yours, mine, and the truth. But again, truth is relative. To change your mind takes introspection. And sometimes that's the end point of a process by which you are effectively proven wrong. Or illustrated that maybe there's a better way or another way to think about a certain situation that further causes you to reflect upon possibly being incorrect. How hard is it to say, okay, I was wrong? I was wrong. Now, if the other person just, they double down and they keep attacking, well, that's because they just don't want to let it go. I'm like, look, I said I was wrong. How much more wrong do you want me to be? Like, I can only be so wrong. I've been corrected. Thank you very much. I was wrong. That's it. When you're wrong, just say, I was wrong. I was wrong. I'll go a step further. There are times when I've done something that, in hindsight, was wrong. But instead of just simply saying I was wrong and leaving it there, what I will often choose to do, sometimes saying it is not fun. It gets easier over time, but it's not easy to do. I think I said it better that way. Is I provide a solution. I was wrong for doing that, but what if I rectified or further rectified the situation by doing this, right? So how about I further rectify the situation by not just course correcting, but by being more conscious about not doing that again, or correct it by replacing it, or whatever the scenario happens, because there's a million variants on being wrong and what you can do to correct it. And the reason why I offer that suggestion is because sometimes saying you were wrong is not enough. Like someone demands satisfaction, if you will, or they're looking for a solution to correct the problem. Here is a practical example. I'm not talking a fake remote control example. There was Jedi had a bag of chalk, like a whole bunch of random chalk, some ice cream chalk, and there was like a dabber. And you were supposed to add water to the chalk, powdered chalk, and it makes like a dabber on the sidewalk, but it was garbage. Like the sponge ripped when we were trying to use it. It didn't work very well. I looked up some reviews. It wasn't that good. So I'm like, this is just trash, dude. Like, this is not going to work well. Just stick with the regular chalk. So I chucked it. So then Diana, she texts me, right? She said, did you throw away the dabber? And I immediately thought, I'm like, yeah, I did, but it really wasn't working that well. You know, if you feel strongly about it, we can replace it, but I've done the research, and it's kind of trash. Like, any of these things, they're not good. So it may be throwing good money after bad at that point. But that I offered to replace it was enough to kind of talk her down and bring her, out of that realm of being upset. Because she was really upset. I'm like, well, okay, then we can replace it. I said, my bad. I was wrong. I'm sorry, but we can replace it. That said, ... And that completely diffused the situation. So sometimes, especially if like, I threw something away, someone's upset about it, what's the likelihood of correcting the situation, and working that go? But I literally changed that situation by being informed, being told that somebody else was not happy with the decision that I made, and doing my best to not just admit that I was wrong, because I don't feel I was wrong. I was wrong for not knowing Diana's perspective before completing that action. I was right for throwing it away because it was trash. It's not a good product. So do you understand how I approached that? That's a practical situation. That's an actual flat practical situation that is the top of mind in relation to being able to admit when I'm wrong, and being able to tell you need to be ready to admit when you're wrong when new information comes in. Because if you ignore the new information, and that information is relevant to your position, you're not doing yourself any favors. And I'm as stubborn as they get, I understand, but you're not doing yourselves any favors if you're not open to other perspectives. You're not doing yourselves any favors if you're not aware that your experience does not necessarily mean it's everybody's experience. Someone else may very well have had a different experience, a different perspective. And I'm not saying you got to say you're wrong about everything. Come on, that's not reasonable. But when new information comes in to explain that the moon is actually not made of cream cheese, and here's why, like, it's not cows are not on the moon. How are you going to get cheese up there? And I know some people out there, well, celestial objects and gods from the sky rain down lactose, and it intermingles with the... No, that's conspiracy theory territory, okay? When you have been illuminated and open yourself up to other perspectives, and you still believe you're right, fine. But shutting yourself off from a reasonable amount of information counter to your belief or position is a really good way of stopping discourse, and a great way of never understanding other people's perspectives. Being able to admit you're wrong is a great way to begin to understand that the world does not revolve around you, nor does the moon, which, by the way, does consist of cream cheese. I'm sorry. I have to say it. I can't end this video without exclaiming once and for all, the moon was made of cream cheese. No, it wasn't. Don't try to convince me. Trust me, it's not made of cream cheese. But I hope this helps, because I know many of you are wrong, and I will continue to be wrong, like, indefinitely. For the rest of my life, I will find myself in situations of being wrong. So please, if you think I'm wrong about something, illuminate me. I may disagree, because I may have a better information on my hands, and any new information may not actually be valid information. But please, just know, I'm ready to admit when I'm wrong.